to the bad guy. Yeah, Chico. Yeah, Chico. You're talking to the bad guy. Toothpick in your eye. I'm that guy. Hey, y'all. Look, something happened to these, something happened to you, okay?
What's going on, everybody, man? I have a very special guest here, man. I'm letting him introduce yourself.
Owen Miller, head coach at Gulfport High School.
Man, appreciate you being here, Coach Miller, man. First of all, what we do on SMACM World, we always edify the guests, man, and give them their roses, man. I appreciate you coming back home to Gulfport after your college career and playing as a player and as a coach. A lot of knowledge of basketball that you gave back to the coast and then your community in Gulfport. Just appreciate what you've done. Brought a state championship back home. 14, I believe that was.
Yeah, 2014.
I was still coaching football then, so that was just a joy to see that, man. And what you're doing now, you still, still at Gulfport, still giving back to the community that you grew up on, and just really appreciate you, Coach.
Yeah,
thank you for everything.
Yeah, I'm glad to be back.
Man, most definitely, man. So let's get right into it, man. Let's talk about your journey as a high school player, man. When did you graduate? What year was that?
1989. I graduated.
Ain't trying to make you feel old.
No,
Coach.
I feel. Yeah, I got you. But yeah, graduated in 1989 from Gulfport High School, and just played at a great time.
Right.
Not only at Gulfport High School, but as you talked about, earlier, the golden era, so to speak, of high school basketball.
Right.
The late 80s. It was just a lot of great players, a lot of great coaches, a lot of great teams. So yeah, a lot of fun.
Absolutely, man. So you was fortunate enough to play with one of the top players in the country at the time, and his name was Chris Jackson at the time, but Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf. Kind of give us a story or experience that it was just to play with him in high school. How was it?
Well, it was, when you're in it, you don't really get it because you see it every day. You're around him every day. He finished in 88. I was a year behind him. I finished in 89. And Mahmoud was hands down the hardest worker I've ever been around. Great humility, very humble. And I'm gonna tell you when I found out how good he was. I was thinking about this today because I knew we were coming on.
Right.
In 1986, we went to a college camp at Mississippi State. And back in the day, man, you would go to camp. It was different. And you would report on a Saturday, and you would stay all week, and you get picked up on a Sunday. So you'd go all week for an individual camp. They had great players there. Their team was there. I was going into his junior year. I was going into my sophomore year. And they kept certain players at night to play against their players, Mississippi State players. Okay. He was going in his junior year, I'll remind you that.
Okay.
And so I wasn't one of those guys. I was sitting in the stands, and it was a joke. He was so much better than them. These are SEC guys. This dude's going to be a junior in high school, man. He's just getting through with his sophomore year. And he went out there, and all the things he did in practice with us, he did out there and just made it look easy with men. And so I knew right then, you'd seen it with guys around Gulfport and the coast and in the seat at that level with high major players. He was just better than everybody in the gym. So I knew then how good he was.
Right.
It was just different.
He was. He definitely was, man. You also got to play with a legendary coach, man, and Coach Jenkins and Coach Austin, man. How was it to play for a guy of that magnitude? He won over 800 games, only lost like 100 something odd ball games, man. How was it to play with Coach Jenkins and Coach Austin?
It was incredible to get to play with Coach Jenkins. He was the head coach. Coach Austin was the assistant coach who would come on and be the head coach. I played on Coach Jenkins' last team. 1989 was his last season. I played under him for 3 years. And everything decision we make at Gulfport High, we ask ourselves, what would Coach Jenkins have done? And so that's how big, to ask you how big of an influence he's had on me. It's been a tremendous influence. It was a blessing to get to play for him. He wasn't easy to play for, but he was always fair. Was a great coach, but more than anything, he was a leader. And after all this time, being away from playing high school basketball, still have great memories and still ask myself, what would Coach Jenkins do? So was just a fantastic coach. And the thing about Coach Jenkins is he was a trailblazer. Man, when he came up in the 60s. He came up during civil rights. He was a white guy coaching African-American young men. he went to a coaching clinic, and he says they tried to set me up. He says, I went to a coach and said, Coach, how is it you get African-American kids? They probably didn't say that then. They probably said black in the early 70s to take charges. Or how do you get them to do things? As a white man, how do you get them to play hard and take charges and make sacrifices with the team? He says, well, to be honest with you, they're the most committed guys I've ever coached. They want to be in the gym. It's not hard at all.
Right.
They just do what I ask them to do. Right. So he was a trailblazer, man. He did so much outside of basketball. And to hear the things he did during the civil rights and what he did for African-American people is encouraging. So there was so much more to him than him being a coach, just like there's so much more to Mahmoud than being a player. Look what he's done in the community. Look what he's done nationally to stand up for what he thinks was oppression. So they kind of go hand in hand, them two. It's kind of a neat story.
No, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I didn't know that story about Coach Jenkins, man.
Yeah.
So, man, another thing, you got to play in B. Frank Brown, man. Talk about those experiences doing that
legendary.
Yeah.
I mean, that place, we talked about it earlier. The dressing rooms were upstairs. Yeah. The concession stand was stuck over there in the corner. It was bad. That was bad. Yeah. But you had one side that was a double decker, and then you had the low end.
Yeah,
you had the one end that was in front of our bench there that was a little bit low. That a lot of people got their first dunk on.
Yeah, it was showtime on that side.
And then all the great players that played in there. It was a neat, unique place. So many memories. I got a piece of the floor up on my wall in my office. Yeah. Now in Burt Jenkins' gym. So just a great place, and nothing like it. There'll never be anything like it again.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely, man. So let's go. After high school, what did you end up doing? Did you end up playing ball?
I did. I went to Lamar University, played at Lamar University for 2 years, and then transferred to Mississippi College and played there for 2 years. And then after that, I was fortunate. I was hired at Mississippi State as an assistant coach, Richard Williams, who had a huge influence on me as a coach. Went to a Sweet 16 and a Final Four there. Then went to Texas San Antonio for 7, Colorado State for 2, Ole Miss for 5. And now here I am 11 years later at Gulfport High. So I spent 17 years in college, and then this has been my 11th year as a high school coach. 28 years. Cool. Yeah, it's gone fast.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember when you were hired at Gulfport, man. I was still coaching football at Gulfport, and it was just good to see a Gulfport guy come in. And took you 3 years. I mean, I think you guys went like 190. You went 90 and 13 your first 4 years.
First 3 years, we went 90 and 13, 2 Final Fours and a state championship, and had a really good run there. Yeah. Had a bunch of Elite Eight since then.
Gotcha.
But it's the as we talked about, had Joshua Hardnett was on that team, on that state championship team, just a fantastic player. Yeah. Dimitri Cook was also on that team. Derek Anderson, the 2 Floyd brothers, Rashad and Javon. Let me tell you something, Javon Floyd, to this day, I've never seen a guy guard Devin Booker the way Javon did.
He did.
Javon did a great job guarding him. Yep. And Javon, maybe the best defensive player we've had in my 11 years there. Oh, man, so we had a fantastic team. We had really good talent. We had guys that were good on offense and defense. And then we just had a guy in Josh Hardnett and Demi Cook that could go get us a bucket whenever we needed one.
They were dandy dozens, man.
Both of them dandy dozens, They were a handful. Made me a real good coach.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to have great players.
Yeah.
Definitely got to have great players to win championships, man. So, what was your favorite moment about that 2014 run, man? Kind of go back to then.
Yeah, this will be odd, man. I've been asked that before, and we lost at Warren Central. We had won 20 games in a row. I forget what it was, and we'd gone up on a Saturday to play at Warren Central. We were number 1 in the state, and we lost.
Yeah.
And after the game, I come in the dressing room, and I've got guys having great conversation. That was heated, but it was respectful. And so I went in that dressing room, and I didn't have to say anything. And some guys confronted each other. Hey, man, you had 3 terrible practices. We became number 1 in the state. Now it seems like you're settling for that. I didn't have to say anything.
Yeah.
And so as a coach, to be able to experience that when your players are taking on that responsibility of, hey, this is on us. We're better than this.
Right.
And the reason we didn't play well was because of our preparation. That's special.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that may be my best moment after a loss, believe it or not. You know, as a coach, when we win, I'm relieved.
Right.
Because we're thinking about the next one. And when you lose, you're miserable.
Right.
You're absolutely miserable until you can go out and play the next game. And that's not a great way to live. I'm not saying that's the right way, but that's me.
Right.
You know, and so when the season's over, then you can reflect back and enjoy sometimes. But there's not a lot of enjoyment when you're in. You know that.
Oh, man.
I mean, you know how it is. When you win,
Absolutely.
you kind of take a deep breath. Hey, okay, now we got to go play.
Next week,
I got to go play Harrison Central on Friday.
And then Biloxi on Friday.
And then I got Biloxi on Tuesday. So it's murderer's row.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
That's why you in it, though. That's, you know.
Yeah, that's what you love about it.
Absolutely, man. So you win 2014. So what I've been doing, I know Coach. I had Coach Wright.
Yeah,
so he was on the staff.
Yeah,
I believe
he wasn't. He was on our two Final Four teams,
okay.
And he was. And then after our second year, he got the head coaching job at D'Iberville.
Right.
Did a wonderful job there,
Absolutely.
and now he's obviously at Pascagoula and's done a marvelous job there.
He's been there 7 years, Coach.
Yeah, and I mean, and hey, he's another admiral, man.
Right, admiral. Yeah, and I
admiral.
definitely.
So done a fantastic job.
Absolutely, Coach, man. So I put pressure on people.
Yeah.
This is a question I want to ask you, man. All right, as a player, who's your Mount Rushmore top 5 at Gulfport High ever? And then as your coach, who was your top 5?
As a player, obviously Mahmoud is hands down the best player I've ever played with, best player I've ever been around.
Right.
For me, another guy was Leonard Bennett.
Yeah.
And it played for Coach Tim Floyd at University of New Orleans.
Right.
Was a fantastic player. C.C. Tillman.
Yeah. He played at Alcorn.
Who played football at Alcorn, had a career in the NFL.
Right.
Was a fantastic player for us, played forward, had the biggest hands I've ever seen on a 6'2" individual, 6'3", whatever he is. Yeah. Was a fantastic player. Dwayne Davis.
Okay.
You know, Dwayne Davis didn't finish his senior year with us in basketball, and if he did, we may have won a state championship. He was our best player. Maybe the best athlete to come through Gulfport High. I mean, played football at the University of Colorado. Yeah. Won several state track meets with Coach Jones and
I
track.
got the opportunity to meet him. Yeah.
Okay, Dwayne was the truth now.
He was.
I mean, and as far as an athlete, as far as doing all of them, probably the best athlete I was around. Yeah. So he would have to be one of them. How many have I given you? 3? 4?
One more. It can be any era. It don't matter.
Any era. I was just giving you the guys I played with. Well, I mean, there's all the Jenkins boys were just fantastic, and Jerry Jenkins was with the grade out system that Coach Jenkins did. We're doing it now. Yeah. He was the best player Coach Jenkins ever coached. He outgraded Mahmoud by under a point, but was fantastic. Played at Mississippi State. I think he was the first African American to play at Mississippi State.
Came on the show. We had him on the show.
Okay, so people don't realize how good he was. And Coach Jenkins even said that was the best all-around player he ever coached. Now Mahmoud was the best offensive, but I can show you how he graded out. He's the best that's ever come through Gulfport High.
Absolutely. Like I remember when I was playing at B. Frank Brown at the time, we used to go to look at the scorebook.
Yeah.
And you could see Mahmoud 50, 38, 29,
it's crazy.
30. It was ridiculous. He definitely was an offensive weapon.
Yeah, he was incredible. So there's been so many great players. And then since the coach, Joshua Hardnett's the best player I've coached.
I got you.
He had 30 in the state final. Was a winner. I mean, wasn't always easy to coach at times. He challenged you as a coach, which was good. But you always knew the bigger the game was, the better he played.
Yeah, he definitely.
He was
the
night. Real deal. Yeah.
Everybody was up there. That definitely was a night to remember, man. Josh
was a real deal.
Yeah, he was.
And he's making money playing basketball.
Absolutely.
And Dimitri Cook made money playing basketball. So when you can go get somebody to pay you outside of college, you're a pretty good hand.
Absolutely.
You know.
Absolutely, Coach, man. Well, Coach, man, I know this past couple of years that just haven't been, man. What are you looking forward to next season, man?
Yeah, we've got a good group coming back. We went 20-12 this year. Got beaten in the round of 16, the Sweet 16. The 2 years prior, we were a game away from the Final Four. Our year, as long as they allow me to be the head coach at Gulfport High, our goal will be to get to the Final Four.
Gotcha.
And we've come up short more than we've gotten there, but I just think that's the standard.
Yep, absolutely.
For our program, 9 state championships, more than anybody in our state.
Yep.
In public school ball, so that's got to be and that's got to be our standard. So we've got 2 twins coming back, Jalen and Colin Howes. They're both 168, 169. We've got our point guard coming back, Kamari Mitchell. Kamari was an all-district player as a junior. So we've got a good nucleus. We've got EJ will be back. We've got some really good pieces, and we'll get started here. We've got another week of spring break, and we'll have 46 days of practice prior to our summer season. So, it doesn't stop, man. We just keep going. But we've got good promise and had a really good 9th grade team. Our junior highs, both Central and Bellevue, were very competitive. So the future's bright.
Absolutely, Coach, man. Well, I really appreciate you coming on the show, man. Just gave you your journey and just tell them how your coaching career has been going, man. It's awesome, and we really appreciate you. It's really an honor and a privilege, man.
Thanks for having me anytime.
Absolutely.
Man.
Don't let it be your last time.
No,
Coach.
it won't. Anytime.
Don't let it be your last time.
And look, we had a lot of time beforehand. I like that, having some real talk. Not that we're not having real talk now, but we had some good stuff, man. That was good. It was, with all you guys. I enjoyed it. Thanks for having me.
Man. We always like to break the ice like that. Just
absolutely,
man. So, man, appreciate you, Coach, for coming on. Man, we here last time, man. I got Coach Miller here, man. I'm Coach Byers here on SMACM Real. See you next time.
Peace. Yep. Enjoyed it.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Yeah, Chico, talking to the bad guy. Yeah, Chico. Yeah, Chico, you're talking to the bad guy. Toothpick in your eye. I'm that guy. Hey, y'all. Look, something happened to these, something happened to you, okay?